After 7 years of marriage, this woman named Nora wouldn't leave him alone. "David, is your wife as cute as me?" she asked once. David responded with a cold sneer. "Do you even compare to her?" Later, I witnessed him spoiling Nora rotten, like carrying her high heels, setting off fireworks, and seeing the new year in with her. His attitude towards me grew colder. On the day of Nora's birthday, I got rear-ended by someone with a grudge against David, crashing into the guardrail. He rushed to the scene, only to find the divorce papers I left for him. "Is David really not coming to stay with you while you're sick?" In the bustling hospital, I sat in a corner with an 4 drip. My best friend, Helen, paid the bills for me and sat nearby, fuming on my behalf. For years, my menstrual pain had become excruciatingly worse. The doctor said, considering my past miscarriages and current health, pregnancy wasn't advisable. I sighed, opened my phone, and thought of calling David. As expected, the call was busy. "Working again," Helen grumbled disapprovingly. I forced a smile, seeing a drained face in the mirror. "Remember Nora?" I asked. "Nora, you mean that woman who chased David for 7 years, but never succeeded, and always got scolded by him?" "Yeah, now she caught him." Nora not only chased David for 7 years, but also served as his secretary. Just a minute ago, Nora posted an update. "The person I've been waiting for has arrived." The picture showed her holding hands with someone. In a 5-star hotel room, scattered rose petals on the floor, a discarded woman's gown, and a tailored man's tie were in the background. There was a blank space on the man's long ring finger, the mark a wedding ring leaves behind. The last picture was of the familiar leather seat, and 2 black lace stockings. Many envied me for betting on the right person when young. "That's how," they said, "I earned David's loyalty after his success." But reality, David cheated. When I walked out of the hospital, it was nearing evening. David called me. "What's up?" His voice was as usual, cool and restrained yet full of tenderness, different from how he spoke to others. I tossed the medical report into my bag. "Nothing. I'm not coming home tonight," David said. "But today's my birthday. We've known each other for 20 years. He celebrated my birthdays for 19 of them. This year, he forgot." Suddenly, I felt like crying. "David, today is my birthday. Can you come find me now?" Fabric rustled from his end. After a moment, David agreed. He drove over himself. Over the years, David had grown more composed and elegant, making it hard to look away. I sat in the passenger seat. The car was clean. No trace of another woman's presence. I glanced over at him. His neat collar, an expensive watch, a perfect tie, and the wedding ring. Images of him entangled with Nora flashed in my mind. Their messy clothes, the passion, a suffocating feeling engulfed me. "You okay? You look pale." David was meticulous, leaving no trace. If I hadn't accidentally added Nora on my burner phone's message, I'd have no proof. I clutched my seatbelt. "The doctor said it'd be hard for us to have kids again." "It's fine. I care about you," David said casually, eyes focused ahead, lost in thought. During the startup phase of his business, I endured tough times with him. My health suffered, resulting in multiple miscarriages. I knew he wanted a child. Suddenly, his phone rang. The harsh ringtone shattered the silence. "Can you answer that for me?" David said. I picked up the phone, hesitating. "Nora." "Answer it." David's tone remained unchanged. I put it on speaker. "Hi, David's driving." Nora on the other end seemed surprised. A brief pause before she spoke sadly. "Anna, can you hand the phone to David?" "I have it on speaker, you can talk," I replied. Nora sounded sniffly, possibly crying. "David, I want to take tomorrow off." "Reason?" David's voice was cold. "I'm feeling down. I want to go to the amusement park with my boyfriend tomorrow." "Boyfriend?" I glanced at David, who kept his lips tightly pressed, like he was hit on the head. Was Nora inviting David out? Or was she getting back at me for snatching David? "Nora, I pay you to work, not to take frequent breaks." "Sorry, but I really want to go." She seemed to be crying by the end. "My boyfriend ditched me today. I just need to clear my head." I stared intently at David, hoping he would refuse her request. David kept his lips tight, tapping his finger on the steering wheel. "This is the last time." Nora chuckled through her tears. "Thanks, David." After hanging up, David looked straight ahead with no expression. His fingers tapped the steering wheel more slowly, a sign of his relaxation. David was anxious from leaving Nora behind. Now, he felt relieved after comforting her. Maybe he wouldn't even admit it to himself. Accepting Nora's invite right under my nose thrilled him. "Let's go too," I suddenly said. David didn't hesitate to decline. I have meetings tomorrow. Amusement parks are too childish for you. You wouldn't have said that before, I whispered. Without lifting his head, David responded, Anna, we've been married for 7 years. 7 years. I shouldn't expect romance anymore. Is that what he meant? I turned to look out the window, muttering, okay. I didn't argue further. David probably forgot we used to be silly too. At 18, during the hottest summer, he held a sun umbrella, carried my snacks and purse, and spent the day at the amusement park with me. On the Ferris wheel's highest point, he kissed me, said, Anna, I'm going to marry you. Back then, his eyes were full of me. We were the ideal couple others admired. At our wedding, we invited our high school teacher, Ken. He said, I always felt David liked you. You got together right after graduation. Years later, when the company went public, David finally admitted his feelings for me were long premeditated. Even now, I can't figure out if love is truly worth risking everything. On our 5th anniversary, Nora became David's secretary. Once in his CEO office, I overheard Nora playfully ask David, is your wife as cute as me? David's dismissive retort, how dare you compare yourself? I felt reassured. 2 years later, as I almost forgot about her, I accidentally added Nora on a fake message account. And that was when the nightmare began. Her world portrayed on social media was nothing like what David told me. The man who claimed to detest Nora lowered himself to carry her high heels, walking with her on Maldives beaches. On New Year's Eve, he blocked my calls. To be with her, watching the first fireworks light up the sky. Yet David didn't even remember my birthday. Love, it seems like anyone could step in. After dinner, David went to the balcony to make a call. His hastily bought birthday cake sat untouched on the table. I watched his face illuminated by the phone screen, his eyes filled with tenderness. That's the look David used to give me when we were young. I didn't say anything, just quietly tidied up the dishes. The next day, I went to the amusement park all by myself. Years have passed since we graduated. The amusement park had been renovated countless times, but the Ferris wheel where we used to sit remained the same. David, can you be with me first next time? Nora was wearing a white dress, clinging to David's arm, looking extremely upset. Yesterday was Anna's birthday. David calmly explained, aren't I always with you? You don't love me anymore. So what's the point of a birthday? Nora started to pout. I'm so young, throwing myself at an older man like you, and you don't even appreciate it. David burst out laughing. Me, old? How come you never say that in bed? Sure, you're rich, handsome, and athletic. Satisfied, Nora dragged David to the Ferris wheel. Miss, are you here with your boyfriend? You can make a wish at the top of the Ferris wheel. Start kissing from the bottom all the way up, and you'll be together forever. The ticket seller blocked my way. I ignored him, just stared straight as David and Nora got on the Ferris wheel. He casually rested his hand on the iron railing, watching Nora struggling to put on a bunny ear headband. After a few tries, she couldn't do it. He then lifted his hand, pinched her chin, held her face, and adjusted the headband with his other hand. The angle tilted back a bit, making it easy for him to lean in for a kiss. Their kissing silhouettes intertwined, gradually blurring as the cabin rose higher. David took the initiative, not letting go of her. The sunlight was blinding. Tears wouldn't stop, but I refused to blink, until it got so high I couldn't see them anymore. I suddenly went crazy and called David. At first, it was hung up. I cried while continuing to call. After several attempts, the call was answered. It was Nora. Anna. She sounded annoyed at being interrupted, but tried to be polite. David is in a meeting. Is there something you need? Give him the phone. He can't right now. Don't you understand? Give him the phone. Nora silently passed the phone to David. His voice came through the receiver, slightly hoarse. Anna, what's up? I stared at the Ferris wheel already at its peak and softly asked, is the view nice at the top? Silence suddenly fell on the other end. David, if I hadn't called, would you have made a wish with her to be together forever? In the living room, David sat silently across from me for a long time. Anna, does it have to be this way? A divorce agreement lay on the coffee table. I had an attorney friend draft it up urgently. After flipping through it briefly, he said, it's quite sloppy, with several contentious clauses. I tightened my grip. Is that all you can say to me at this moment? David paused. I'm sorry. Tears flowed down my face. Can't you just take a little loss even if the terms are sloppy? You're the one at fault. Can't I reclaim the property you gifted Nora? Facing my red eyes, David remained silent. I threw the agreement at his face, suddenly burst into tears. David, do you have any heart? What am I to you? Pain flashed in his eyes as he suddenly hugged me. Anna, I'm sorry. I was confused for a moment. Please don't divorce me. I choked out. When you went to the Maldives with Nora, did you know I was sick? Do you know my period cramps are getting worse each time? because of too many miscarriages. David, the last child was lost because I drank for you, because of your stomach problem. Yet what did you do? You drank to protect Nora. By the end, I was sobbing uncontrollably. David held me tight, soothingly stroking my hair. I'm sorry, it won't happen again. Anna, I'll fire her, cut it off completely, alright. That night, I had the biggest outburst I've ever had. Went hysterical, smashed the house to pieces. David was speechless, softly calming me down. Anna, don't do that, your hand is bleeding. Hoarse from crying, in the end, I could only croak out 4 words. We get a divorce. David rubbed my head, whispered, Anna, I'll take care of everything. Wait for me. David very strongly rejected my request for a divorce. That day, I stood by the window, coldly watching the pitifully crying Nora downstairs. You weren't like this before, David. You were in love with me, right? Wrong. David was extremely cold. We were just a fling. When the novelty wears off, isn't it normal to end? Nora looked wretched, wiping her tears. David, you're a liar. You're the biggest liar in the world. As she squatted down to cry, it started to rain outside. David lowered his eyes, lost in thought. Maybe his suddenly tensed yet restrained hand spoke volumes. The next day, Nora disappeared from the company. For some time after that, David came home every day, gradually starting to talk more. Even though I never responded, he didn't seem to care. Almost like it was back when we first started the business. But some things, once broken, can't be pieced back together. At least there's one thing I can hold on to. Money. Over the years, David's company grew bigger and bigger. I had to stop working due to health reasons, staying home to recover. So when I chose to return to the company, friends didn't get it. Anna, checking up on David at his company now. I seriously corrected them, it's our company. From starting up to today, I had put in a lot of effort. I also held quite a bit of shares. A friend said, you're blessed but don't know it. With David making money, you could travel the world. Make him take you to the Maldives for a vacation. Speaking of that, David never took me out. Yet he showered Nora with romance. When David found out, he asked, Anna, do you want to go? Okay. I knew it was compensation driven by guilt towards me, but I still went. I consulted with a lawyer. Gathering evidence for a divorce suit is tough. David is too cautious. I couldn't dig up anything. I could only start with Nora. People tend to show more flaws when panicked. For instance, when David was taking me to revisit their old haunts. Before we left, Nora came to me. Do you really think you've won? Nora smiled smugly. He can't live without me. Sooner or later, he'll come back to me. You should know there's no law that governs emotions. We love each other. It's not a crime. I didn't want to hear a word of it. You can have David divorce me. Just get him to do it. If there's nothing else, we're off on vacation. Nora didn't get angry, just laughed. Have fun, but he'll come back halfway. Walking on the beaches of the Maldives. In the distance, the light blue ocean reflected the dazzling golden sunlight. It was beautiful. I held up my phone, took my time to arrange the photos in a grid, and posted them on social media. I knew Nora could see it, and soon enough, she'd retaliate with a photo. My lawyer said, once Nora accidentally reveals her identity, we'll have leverage. After posting on social media, I found David staring at the distant sunset. What's wrong? I asked. David looked away and gave a small smile. It's nothing. Let's eat. I watched him for a bit before saying, all right, let's go eat. A young woman's cheerful laugh came from not too far. She was barefoot, walking on the beach, telling the guy behind her, hurry up. We need to catch the sunset. David seemed lost in thought for a moment. I quietly looked away and tossed the shell I was holding. See, no matter how beautiful the view is, it's not the first time. In his heart, there's a more beautiful view now. Tonight, David had a bit to drink. I was a little tipsy too, leaning against a soft pillow, gazing out at the endless sea. Just before David leaned in to kiss me, I slightly turned away. David stopped, his voice hoarse. Anna, what's up? Talk to me tonight, I said. Sure. Honestly, I've lost track of how much I encouraged David to drink. People often reveal their true feelings when drunk. The lawyer had mentioned that it'd be great if David could write a remorse letter. David whispered into my ear, you were always sickly growing up. That time you were ill, I carried you 2 kilometers to the hospital. I replied calmly, yeah. I remember thinking how lucky I was to have someone who loves me. And you always will. He added, David will always love Anna. The gentle wind blew through the window, not hiding the insincerity of lies. I said to him, David, sing me a song again, will you? 18-year-old David sang beautifully. He used to sing love songs for me in front of the whole school without a fuss. But then, after gaining status and position, he stopped. Which song? He asked with a smile. The one you sang when you confessed, I said. I stood, sitting at the balcony, the tender evening breeze lifting my hair. Closing my eyes, it was like going back to when I was 18, to the summer when David confessed to me. Back then, I totally believed in our forever promises. My phone lit up on the coffee table. I saw a message from Nora. I'm pregnant. It's David's. You can't take him away. I didn't notice when the wind stopped. The song stopped too, unfinished. I turned to look at David standing in the dark, gripping his phone. I realized some things just can't be revisited. He said, Anna, I need to get back to the company. People were puzzled about why I returned from vacation alone. Are you and David having issues? I always smiled gently. No, we're doing great. David seemed better to me than ever. Then, that day, I cried as I watched a group of kindergartners being picked up from school. David hugged me, sounding remorseful. Anna, I'm sorry. I grabbed his tie. David, promise never to do anything to hurt me again. People said I changed. I was a gentle bunny with David, but very competent at work, showing no signs of having been a full-time wife. Only I knew how tough it was late at night, biting my pillow to hold back, encouraging myself. I didn't have much time left. Time dragging on just eroded my ability to survive in society. David, come to a concert with me tonight, I said after work, handing him a ticket. I'd waited ages to grab it because I really wanted you to be there with me. David looked conflicted. It was also the day he was supposed to accompany Nora for a checkup. With disappointment, I asked, what's up? Is something wrong? I mean, I can totally go alone, you know. No, David cut me off abruptly. I'll go with you. Turns out, I really enjoy concerts. Always have, any kind. Otherwise, David's song wouldn't have struck a chord with me back in the day. All night, I waved light sticks, shouting madly amongst the crowd. David was uneasy beside me, juggling his phone. I saw it. Nora was throwing a fit, but I didn't care. After the concert, we walked hand in hand along the tree-lined path. Many families surrounded us. Most were three-member ones. I laughed and said, David, when I was 18, I imagined you'd take me to concerts when we were young. Down the road, you and our kid would join me. If we had a child, we'd be as happy as them tonight. David clenched my hand tighter. Anna. His voice was thick with emotion. I turned back, smiling brightly, but it's okay now. Even without a child with you, I'm content just being with you. David's expression went blank, his eyes reddened. Anna, I'm sorry, I'm such a jerk. I cupped his face, wiping his tears away. You're not David, ever my David. I really had fun tonight. Thanks for being with me. I tiptoed, planting a soft kiss on his lips, before stepping back with a smile. Bet you've got things at the company. I'll take a cab home then. I'd just walked a few steps when he tugged me back forcefully into his arms. David said, no, there's nothing. Let's go home. That night, David was a little wild, madly kissing me, ruffling my hair. In a haze, he even mentioned wanting to have a child with me. As he got serious, I placed my hand on his belt. David, I can't trust you right now. Could you, write me a promise? Okay. Half a month later, Nora reached out again. She came to see me in person. She'd lost weight, and her words were sharp. David doesn't love you anymore. Why? Hold on. I genuinely wanted to know. Do mistresses all graduate from the same training program? Their lines sound identical. Nora, we've known each other for 20 years. Yet he loves me more now. With a mocking tone, Nora said, Anna, stop fooling yourself. Really think David broke it off with me? She was trembling with anger, showing me intimate photos on her tablet. You're all smug, thinking you've won your husband back. Look here, photos from yesterday, us in bed. 3 hours. Think he doesn't love me? Yesterday, it clicked. David had hugged me, saying he might not come back after evening work with a client. Asked if I wanted to join. After the shock reaches a certain level, numbness follows. Turns out, I'm not stupid. When a man first loses his fidelity, he's tainted. There's no need for second redemption. Staring at her belly, I asked, the baby doing well? It's fine. I looked at her, voice steady. I won't give David back to you. Nora seemed to hear a joke. Do you still think you've some charm left? I won't keep David, but picking trash, I leave for you. I couldn't help a smirk. Nora was furious. Before she could splash me with water, I swiftly grabbed my bag and left the cafe. Proof was ready. I could file for divorce anytime. But if David felt guilty enough, a divorce settlement could maximize my advantage. I grabbed my bag, got up, and ignored her angry face as I walked out of the cafe. David had arranged meetings with a few OBGYN specialists from top hospitals to help me out. He was doing everything he could to take care of my health, and I played along pretty well. There were times I was sweating with pain from cramps. David saw it and later stood by the window, smoking one cigarette after another, looking all silent and tormented. "I'm sorry, Anna. I didn't know you were in so much pain before," he said. I shook my head with a smile, saying, "It's okay. Having you love me is enough." Seeing David struggle like that left me a mess of emotions inside. I wondered what 18-year-old David would think if he saw himself now. He'd accompanied me on a few shopping trips. Once, I stood in front of a window display, looking at the limited edition shoes he once bought for Nora. "I really wish I had a pair too," I said. David's face in the reflection was somber. He knew they were sold out. The last pair had been a birthday gift for Nora. "Come on, let's check out something else," he said, pulling me along. I told him, I really like their slogan, "Some gifts should only be given once. If you give them to me, don't give them to others." David's voice was rough. There won't be anyone else. I was no longer a dull presence in his eyes. I was becoming vibrant again. David often stared at me, lost in thought. "What are you looking at?" I'd ask. "Nothing, just remembering how you used to look when you were younger," he'd reply, his eyes soft and full of love. "Anna, I love you." I was sitting cross-legged on the couch with my laptop at that moment. "Then tell me, how do I fix this?" I said. "Silly, it's easy," David replied, wrapping me in his arms and helping me solve work problems, just like he used to during school when he'd solve math problems for me. That evening after work, Nora showed up at our door, heavily pregnant. Her eyes were red. "David, are you abandoning me and the baby?" David's face tightened, pulling me to him. "What nonsense is this?" "It's not nonsense," she snapped. "There's your child inside me. Are you denying it?" David tried to take me upstairs. I shook free, smiling faintly. "You deal with it. I'll go up myself." His face froze. "Anna." I ignored him and headed up. I'd already installed a camera in the garage. Now, on the screen, I watched as David held Nora and silently pressed the record button. "I thought you didn't want me anymore." "I wouldn't," David sighed, "but she's still my wife." "Just get a divorce," Nora said. David touched her face. "Go on, be good. I'll see you soon." How soon? Very soon. When David came back, I was leaning on the cushion, discussing a project with colleagues. "Anna," he called my name. I gazed at him silently for a long time without speaking. "Nora's boyfriend left her. She's not in a good place," David said, his mouth moving uneasily. "Ah, that's why. Hope she's okay." I laughed. I'd heard enough of his stupid, damn lies. It was more amusing than a live comedy show. David walked over and handed me a warm jasmine milk tea, my favorite. "I've quit," I said, closing my laptop. "Anna, you don't trust me." "No, of course not." I smiled. "We're in love, so I believe whatever you say." David started to say something, but then stopped. "David, have you ever regretted anything?" I asked. Without blinking, he said, "Yes, I regret meeting Nora. I regret meeting you too." As work got busier, I hardly had time for even a sip of water. On Christmas, it snowed outside. David was away on a business trip. Driving home, he called me, reminding me to eat well. Wait for me to come home. "Yeah, I know," I replied. At a busy intersection, a huge truck came out of nowhere, crashing through the greenery towards me. I instinctively turned the wheel. The car slammed into the barrier, and the airbag deployed. The impact left me with ringing ears, and it took me a moment to realize I'd been in an accident. David's urgent voice was on the phone. Later, the doctors came and lifted me onto a stretcher. As I lay there, staring at the blank snow, I remembered it was Nora's birthday today. Right then, I decided to take action. I left David a divorce agreement and left for good. He'd get my message, sign it, or I'd file for divorce. A month after Anna vanished, David went nuts, hassling everyone she knew. The news of his 3-year affair with Nora spread like wildfire. People sighed at how desires can destroy you. With money and power, you crave thrills, eventually losing yourself. David tore up the divorce agreement and barely managed through the month. In January, he received a new agreement from Anna overseas. It was professionally drafted, showing she was dead set on getting a divorce. David left a weeping Nora and went abroad alone, tracking down Anna's barely-known parents. Upon hearing everything, they said, "You betrayed your marriage, so we support her decision." Walking the streets of an unfamiliar country, David saw an elderly couple sitting on a park bench, supporting each other as they watched the sunset. Overcome with emotion, he kneeled on the ground, crying. Only now did he realize what he had lost. Loving Anna had been a 20-year deal for him. Anna was like a nurturing soil to him, always making him grow stronger and bolder, searching for better sunbeams. But with her gone, David felt the gnawing pain from the roots, symptoms of rot. Without Anna, David had nothing left. "Did you argue with your wife?" the elderly couple kindly asked, seeing his sorry state. "Yes, I made a big mistake," David choked. "Well, go apologize, ask for her forgiveness," they suggested, giving him a glimmer of hope. But then the elderly man continued warmly, if she still loves you, it might work. A hope that had barely sparked in David's heart shut down immediately. Indeed, how could Anna still love him? All those nights spent with Nora in loud escapades had stabbed a knife into Anna's heart. How could anyone love someone who hurt them so deeply? David returned home, because someone told him Nora was giving birth. But now he felt a growing disgust towards her. He used to say that Nora could never compare to Anna. He still believed that she wasn't as capable as Anna, not as beautiful or as fit. The only thing she had going for her, her initiative, was now cheapened. Nora was arguing with him. When you loved me, you sure didn't talk like this. You don't even love Anna, yet you're so kind to her. Why can't you be like that with me? David listened and just chuckled coldly. I've loved her for 20 years. And you, besides all those steamy bed photos, what else you got? Nora was hit with the harsh truth. Even winning David this way, she wasn't really winning. In this game, there weren't any winners. I'm not going to marry you, David made it clear. Have the child, it should be with me. Nora cried and argued for ages, only for David to leave, slamming the door behind him. After the car accident, I spent a long time in the hospital recovering. In December, a lawyer flew over to see me. I handed him the evidence and paperwork. You've worked hard these past few months. The lawyer smiled. You're one of the few clients I've seen with strong mental fortitude. Most wives break down during the evidence-gathering phase. I pondered a moment. If I can reclaim the shares and assets David gave Nora, I'll have significant say in the company. The lawyer finished my thought. Sounds good. Thank you. Once I was discharged, I visited my old high school. It was on this stage David confessed his feelings to me at graduation. Our faded photo was still up on a school wall. I asked the janitor to take it down, keeping it as a memento. I shook my head. No, we're getting a divorce. The janitor looked regretful. All these years, every graduating class comes here to confess. They say it's because of you too. Unbelievable. Yeah, I didn't see it coming either. I sighed at the smiling young faces in the photo. The 18-year-old David and Anna would be heartbroken if they saw today. As I left, I ran into David. He looked thinner. Anna, I looked up. What a coincidence. You here for the old photos too? Yeah. I took a deep breath, then let out a small laugh. David, what's the point? Anna, I won't marry Nora. I'll get custody of the child. Let's not get a divorce, okay? Didn't you always want a child? I looked at him and quietly asked, David, how did you change so much? He grabbed my shoulders tightly, his eyes red. Please, Anna, give me another chance, will you? I swore to love you forever. David broke down, crying. I made so many mistakes. I swear I'll never do it again. I watched him and said, can you stop crying? You're nothing like you used to be, and I don't like this version of you. David hurriedly wiped his tears. Anna, name your terms. I'll do anything I can. I want you to watch fireworks with me. Okay. David's face lit up, but then froze. He remembered what I said at graduation. David, when we're rich, you promised to take me to the most expensive fireworks show. He'd already done that with Nora. It's not about the fireworks, but the lost youth. Our past. David could never give that back. Through tears, David pleaded, Anna, you can't forgive me. I held his hand. 18-year-old David can't forgive you. And that was that. We divorced amicably. I took 90% of the assets, as I said. David disagreed, but left with nothing. These months, I didn't sit idle. I bit the bullet, diving into work life. So, when I returned to the company, handling work was easy breezy. The month Nora was due, her case went to court. I sued for the return of marital assets. This was my second batch of evidence. Their chat logs, her posts flaunting luxury, and the share transfer documents. It all happened during the marriage. Solid proof, especially with the divorce agreement. The court ruled in my favor. I remember that sunny day, when a pregnant Nora caused a scene. I'm carrying David's child. I know. I calmly looked at my watch. The afternoon meeting could wait. Nora argued, without children, why keep David's money? Shouldn't it go to the kid? It should. I nodded. If you'd said so. Post-divorce, David's broke. Whatever she wanted, he didn't have it. Nora ended up living in her nightmare. David fell into a slump, uninterested in work. Every word I said before the divorce, every place we went, became seeds in his mind, growing. Betrayers deserve punishment. I didn't care if she had David's child. All that mattered was how much money I could reclaim. Competing over emotions, utter waste. Anna, look at yourself. David liking you is a joke. What do you mean? I glanced at my reflection. True, I'm not young anymore. Eyes don't dream of love anymore. But hardships forged not weariness, but courage to walk on. I smiled. Is love that important? Maybe. Two people building a life, braving storms, supporting each other, becoming great, love's in there. But in the end, what does that even mean? Epilogue. Nora's child didn't see their second birthday. Complications at birth caused brain damage. At 2, the child fell ill and passed. Nora was hit with depression, tormenting David daily. Friends sneakily asked Anna if she'd go to the funeral. She said no. Now thriving in her career, she had no time for others' problems. Heard David opened a small business, not doing well. Anna didn't pay attention. She was too busy raising her child. Heard the child passed. David closed the company. You really were his spirit. Back then, he was full of fight. Now look at him, just a shell. Her phone rang abruptly. Anna answered quickly. A man's voice came through. Want me to pick you up for dinner tonight? Sure. Seeing her smile, her friend asked, you seeing someone? Yeah, a business partner. Only that. He's pursuing me. Her friend cheered. Bring him over for us to meet. That evening, Anna saw a familiar car by the roadside. It was David's. She'd given him the car in the divorce. He opened the door and stepped out. Anna, just like her friend said, there was no life left in him. The spirited David was gone. All that remained was emptiness. Anna nodded, take care. A sentence with no warmth at all. David sighed as he looked up at the bright building. Once, he stood here and had it all. Now, it all turned upside down. Honestly, I never thought it'd end up like this. Like what? Anna asked him plainly. Just a simple betrayal, no big deal, huh? David choked up. I'm sorry. Betrayal is betrayal. You did it, and you paid the price. That's all there is to it. Anna's tone made him uncomfortable. Like this shouldn't be how they were. David tried asking, Anna, when did you find out? You were cheating on me. Anna added with a smile. A while ago. Saw it on someone's social media. David wanted to say more, but Anna interrupted him. I know what you wanna ask. Reconciling with you. It was fake. Believing you love me. Also fake. Being intimate with you. That wasn't genuine either. David's face turned pale, drained of all color. Anna, why? Because I needed evidence. Anna sneered. If I didn't let you feel guilty, how could I get the proof? How could I make you willingly give up everything? She wasn't that forgiving. Those who hurt her had to pay. He did, and so did Nora. That unfamiliar expression made David's heart ache. But you cried. Anna laughed. I'm sad. Does that conflict with wanting the property? David, I have to move on. In the distance, a tall man stepped out of a car, dressed in a suit. He looked weary from travel. Anna, he called out, a hint of tiredness between his brows. David suddenly felt a sinking feeling. Anna naturally took the man's arm. David, meet my boyfriend, James. James nodded. Nice to meet you. David took a long time to find his voice. You have the boyfriend now? Yeah. No explanation, no intention to explain. Just 2 words brushing off his topic. James held Anna's hand. Done talking. Let's get you dinner. All done. As Anna turned away, David experienced a sudden rush of panic. Anna looked back and saw the bouquet of red roses on his car's back seat. She understood his reason for coming. David himself wasn't sure what he hoped for. Maybe she should know his intentions. He watched Anna anxiously, waiting for an answer. But Anna calmly turned back, smiled at James, and said, buy me a bunch of roses, the most expensive ones. Already did. They are in the car. They walked away, talking cheerfully, laughing together. David stood there watching their shadows. First, his and Anna's slowly overlapped, much like when they were young. As Anna walked, the shadow stretched, and at one point, separated completely. The shadow at his feet was 18-year-old David. Up ahead, the shadow hand in hand with someone was 30-year-old Anna. And he was forever lost in a chaotic 28. He could never get out.